Hi, you guys. Welcome. Can you guys hear me okay? Hi, Karen. Hi, Divya. Hi, Janet. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Welcome to the behind the scenes of the book launch training. I'm so excited. It's so fun that I'm doing this training on pub day, right? Like today's the actual day the book comes out, and today's the day we're doing behind the scenes. So as you guys are getting settled and getting landed, grab a cup of tea, get yourself on video. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Carmen. Hello, Sasha. Hello, everybody that's hopping on. I am just getting set up here. Hi, Divya. Hi, Megan Neely.
Hello.
How fun that we're doing this today, especially since today is pub day. It's pub day. It's my birthday. Somebody gave me a flower. You know how sometimes birthdays are like really wonderful and then sometimes they're vulnerable and raw and like challenging, right? Like all of that is actually true for me today. So as you guys are hopping on, I'm just going to look for my co-pilot, Jen, so that I can make her co-host. Let me know if you're here, Jen, Sebastian. And as you guys are getting settled, I just want to remind you all that there's never been a better time to write a book, even though it is definitely a ride. All right, we've got a co-pilot now. Hi, Shaya. Hello, everyone. As you're hopping on, I just want to invite you to get grounded. I'm gonna take a moment to unmute you so that we can give a big stretch and give a big wahoo to every woman who has a dream, especially a dream of maybe putting your love into print someday. So ready, everybody? On the count of three, we're gonna say big wahoo. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Let me hear you one more time. Big inhale and really let yourself in. And we are together. One more time, I can't hear you. There we go. Now I can hear you. All right, beautiful goddesses. Thank you for being here with me on Pub Day on the birthday of my book. So a couple of things about what's been going on for me. I just want to say that launching a book is like it's no joke. Many of you know that, we had the goal of selling 5,000 to 10,000 books, and our company it's a small up-and-coming training company. We've built $1 million training company where we go deep with, between 100 and 150 women a year. We've built something that's beautiful and sustainable, something that my team loves being a part of, something that I think most days my clients like being a part of, except for those days that we push them too hard. Or the days that they sometimes doubt whether it's ever going to work. But that's what we're here for. That's why we're here. And, I haven't launched a podcast. It was only a couple months ago that I launched a YouTube channel. So long story short, as we've been kind of feeling into what does it take to sell 500 units of a book? 5,000 units of a book? What does it take to sell 5,000 units of something, 7,000 units of something, 10,000 units of something? Like, what does that take? Because we've never sold more than 400 units of anything in the history of our company. And as we've been diving into this, what we found is that, first of all, it's no joke. If you're going to give your book a chance at selling thousands of copies, I really want to encourage you guys all to leave yourself a big runway. Like, give yourself months of time to really start building out your platform first. And I'll get into a lot more strategies that I've learned that I can share with you in the next hour and a half or so that we're together. And just from like a personal perspective, the update is that we've sold over 6,000 books, which is more than, it's high. It's like I'm almost to my silver goal. My silver goal was 7,000. Our gold goal was 10,000. And the thing is like, we have another month to sell books. It's not over, right? So I'm learning a couple of things. I'm learning to pace myself. I'm learning to not take myself too seriously. And I'm also learning that there's disappointments along the way. So one of the things that some of you guys saw my Facebook post this morning, one of the things that happened to us yesterday is that we hired a fulfillment company that was going to help us strategically place the orders for books so that they go through the right channels for New York Times. And that fulfillment company over the weekend got basically flagged. Like their system got flagged. Their system is right now being, and this is the same fulfillment company that Brendon Burchard used and Tony Robbins used. I mean, this is a legit company. And they happened to get flagged, can you guys believe this? Like 48 hours before my book comes out, which means that my orders aren't going to get placed in the way that we originally thought, which means that, I get to become a bestseller more organically than had I had this fulfillment company really behind me in the way that some of these other big names have, which means that I'm having to let go of some of the expectations that I had of like hitting certain bestseller lists, because, there are books that sell 12,000 copies and 14,000 copies that don't become a bestseller. And when I got with my mentor last night to kind of talk through this, what she reminded me of is the absolute truth, which is that the success of a book and the success of a message depends on the people who are a part of that tribe, depends on the impact and the changes that you make as you go about getting your work into the world. It doesn't depend on the accolades that come along, right, with that. And my book has the whole year of becoming, bestsellers in all different kinds of ways. And it probably won't happen this week in the way that we had, sort of strategically planned and invested in. And I'm getting to like look my inner achiever in the eye, like the inner achiever in me that's like more, bigger, better, faster, stronger. I want to change the world. I want to change it tomorrow. Like I'm getting to look her in the eye and be like, you're good enough. And we're doing this, and look at what you've created, and look at who your clients are, and look at who your team is, and look at who's standing behind you, and look at who's standing by your side. And look at the women who are trusting you to share the journey that you're going through so that they can have a gentler journey. So I'm here to tell every single one of you that your success is not determined by how many clients you have or whether a client stays with you for 1 week or 6 weeks or 6 months or 3 years. Your success is not determined by what bestseller list you hit, or whether you're at 6 figures, or whether you've ever had a $5,000 month or a $10,000 month, or whether you're ever going to have, a 7-figure business. Your success is determined, and we have to wrangle those parts of ourselves that want to go out of control in every which way, and really remind ourselves that our success is determined by our lifestyle and who loves us and who we love, and do we actually love the work that we're doing when we wake up in the morning? Do we actually feel good about the contribution that we're bringing to the planet? And so thank you for being the kind of tribe that I know wants the truth, and I'm even more committed to bringing the truth, and I'm even more committed than ever to knowing that like the more authentic we all can be, the more successful we all can be. So you all are a part of an intimate group of women who bought the book or bought several copies of the book, and you said, I want to be a part of behind the scenes. I want to be behind the scenes of the book launch. I'm willing to hear the real, raw, messy, and I want to hear how the book launch came together. So I'm going to actually tell you some of the things that we strategically did that worked, that totally worked to sell thousands of books. There were several decisions that we made in the way that we put our online funnels together that sold thousands of books. So I'm really excited to get you ladies that information today. And I'm really excited to share a little bit about the process of just writing a book, and how do you write a book that actually becomes like the best marketing tool for your business. Because like this book, Women Rocking Business, it's not fluff. Like if any of you guys have had a chance to read chapter 1 or read chapter 12 or read any of the chapters that you got behind the scenes, a lot of people put together a book that's just like, here's a couple of morsels of what I know so that you can come and pay me thousands of dollars for my courses. This book is actually full of like templates and checklists and actual solid information. And I feel great about that. I feel really excited about the thousands of women that have bought this book that are going to be getting that tangible information to then be able to say, you know, yes, I would potentially want more support. And I know that the support that a training company can give me doesn't just come in the form of like, you know, words on a page or words on Kindle, right? I'm here to tell you, like, put your best stuff into a book. Like, don't make it fluff. But before I dive into strategy, I'd love to just hear from, you know, several of you that are here. What's your intention for being here? What are you noticing about what I'm sharing? And is there anything really big you're wanting to walk away with as a result of being here today? Before I dive in, how you guys doing? Awesome. Who wants to do a quick share? What do you got, Divya?
Putting your best stuff into a book, that really resonates, because sometimes I guess I feel like if I give it all away, then what would people want next? And so that really makes a lot of sense to me. And the other question that I have is, sometimes I have like so much in here and in here, my heart and my head, that I want to share. I don't know how to organize it into a format that could be then put into a book. So that is really interesting to me. I'm interested to know how you did that.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to get to that. And I do want to give a quick answer to your question of the best stuff. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna get to that as my very first teaching point. So I'm gonna circle back around to you. And thank you for your question. Who else has a question they want to throw in, just so I can get a little like, Melissa, what you got?
Hey, Sage, how are you?
Hi, I'm so good. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just coming out with my first, ebook, I guess, which is I'm turning into a training. Did you start out? My question is like, did you start out small with the book? Like my book right now is just like 24 pages. It's kind of like the essence of helping women build confidence to do online marketing.
Yeah.
So it's like, did you start with an outline first, or did you just have this big picture vision for this book?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. I'm definitely going to get to that. Kiss for Melissa. Mwah. Kiss for Divya. Mwah. What about you, Kathleen?
I wonder how many book companies you went to, or how do you go about, finding publishers?
Great. Okay, great. Awesome. I will definitely get to that. It's on my list. Kiss for you. Mwah. Anything else you guys want to throw into the mix? And if you are on the phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. What do you got, Megan Neely?
I'm wondering about what is the right time to look at having a book, because I know you already had your fully established business. And yeah, I know that I have a book in me, and I just think about it as something for later in life. So I'm curious about that piece.
Yeah. I think you're wise to wait and build your platform and, start organizing your book and start thinking about what it would look like. And I know I actually wrote some of my chapters like the first year I was in business, and those chapters are in the book. Like they've been, it's like there's the first book that you write, and then there's the book that you guys are all going to read. And those are two different things, right? Because there's a process of like me getting out. There's a process of any author getting out the things that they need to get out on paper to be able to really get to the point where they know what they want to say. And I think that writing is a way of organizing my thoughts. And I definitely encourage those of you guys that like to write, and to not feel like you have to wait until you're in a book project to be writing, if that's a way of expressing yourself that you feel moved to do. I also really recommend that you guys put some of those mini chapters and articles that you write into your blog and start building up your blog presence, and get a blog going as soon as you can, because the sooner you have a blog, the sooner you actually have somewhere that you can put your writing where people are reading you know? So if you don't have your website set up with a blog at this point, that would be a great first action step for you. And that way, anytime you post a new blog, you can link it to Facebook. You can post your articles on each, you know, like once you're in an entrepreneurial community, like many of you are with me, you guys can post your articles on each other's blogs and link to each other's articles and, you know, build a reader base there. You know, and when, you know, at least once or twice a month, I'll write like a longer post on Facebook just because I want to write what's on my heart. And I did that this morning. I woke up and I'm like, I want to say something about the fact that like my book is coming out today, hand in hand with this really rough moment. And like, I got so much support on Facebook. I think I already have like 30 or 40 comments, and I just I just stuck it up there a couple of hours ago. And that's just like, that gives me good practice, just like speaking my heart into a public forum. So you guys can start writing longer paragraphs about what's really true for you on Facebook. And, you know, notice as you guys keep writing, like notice, how do you tell your story? How do you say what's true? How do you share what you want to share in a way that's not victim-y, that's not blamey, right? I was very careful when I shared that post not to throw my fulfillment company under the bus, right? They were honest with me. I made a decision to hire them. I'm not a victim. I'm disappointed, right? And I was very careful in that post that I posted on Facebook. You guys can go check it out if you haven't seen it. I'll stick it in the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood page for those of you that aren't in our programs. But, you know, I was very careful to tie it back to my readers. Like, here's what I'm learning, and here's why I want to keep standing for you, having your success and you being authentic. And here's why I think the world needs more authentic leadership. So, you know, how can you guys use your writing, one, as a way to build your tribe now, right now, because you can. You don't need a book to be able to do that. And number two, how can you use your writing and the process of writing to actually help you get more clear on your message and what your message is? So I want to keep answering those questions, but these are great. Any other burning questions that you guys want to throw into the mix before I'll dive in and just keep checking on you? Okay, so I'm going to dive in. So number one, I want you guys to know, if you haven't actually, I know how much information there is. Like I know we've been sending out way more emails than we normally do right now. And thank you for being patient with that. But I want you guys to know about what's available to you if you haven't been here yet. Okay, so you guys have a private URL. It's womenrockingbusiness.com/book bonuses. Okay, and this is where all your behind the scenes content lives. So if you haven't been to this page in a while, today would be potentially a good day to go grab a few things off this page, because I know you're all busy and I know we want to make sure this is as easy for you as possible. So the things that I think you guys would really enjoy on this page, number one, there's a book proposal recipe. Okay, this is going to answer Kathleen's question about how do I find a publisher. In order to have a publisher pick you up, you have to have a book proposal. That's your first step. Now, the cool thing about writing a book proposal is that once you've written a book proposal, you've actually done about half the work of writing a book. So I'm going to talk about my book proposal today and tell you guys a little bit behind the scenes of like, how did I put that together and how do you put a book proposal together when you are ready to go get a publisher? There's also this 10-step checklist to becoming a bestseller and writing a great book. Mark my words, this book will be on a bestseller list within the next year, if I have anything to say about it, despite the blow that I had yesterday. And the truth is that, you know, Amazon deems any book that sells more than 5,000 copies a bestseller. So, you know, truth be told, I already am a bestseller. But you also get, you also get obviously you get to see behind the scenes of my book. You get immediate access to chapters 1 and 12. And I also would recommend a few of these interviews. There's some really great, solid interviews in here about how to set up your business for freedom, how to really identify your sacred calling with Margaret Lynch. The interview with Jeff Walker I thought was really poignant. Jeff is one of those guys that's built a multi-million-dollar business, and he still takes many, many months off every year to go rafting and mountain biking and be with his family. I know many of you guys want that. And this interview with Marcy Shimoff, if you haven't seen this interview with Marcy, I think that's a really solid interview about how to create content, especially in a live event, that helps you really organize your thoughts, just like Divya was asking. So I'm going to actually be talking a little bit about my 10 steps here. Again, this is a handout that's available to you guys on the page I just mentioned. One more time, that's at womenrockingbusiness.com/book bonuses. But, you know, I was in this meeting with a bunch of my 7-figure, $1 million colleagues, multi-million-dollar colleagues. I'm kind of like the baby in this group. It's my mastermind group that I get to be a part of through Jeff Walker. And everybody was talking about how do you make sure your book is a success? And there was like 40 multi-million-dollar, like super high rollers in the room, lots of men with loud voices, you know, and this is a year before my book comes. This is a year ago. And I'm sitting there trying to take like copious notes, right? Like this is what the Jeff Walkers and the Brendan Burchards and the, you know, Justin Livingstons, this is what they, and the Reed Tracy, CEO of Hay House, is in that group. This is what these guys have to say about becoming a bestseller and making your book a success, right? Like, and all these guys are going back and forth around, you know, you have to hire this fulfillment company. No, you know, don't do that. You have to sell the books yourself, and you have to sell all the books yourself, and then place the orders strategically and make sure you collect all the money for all the books, because then you have control over where those book orders get placed. And then other people are saying, you know, no, just send people to Amazon, like let people go buy their own book, and you know, then they can give you the receipt number confirmation of their purchase, and that's how they get the bonuses. And everybody's going back and forth, and it's like a heated debate. And I'm just sitting there being like, oh my God, I'm completely intimidated. And Reed Tracy stands up in the middle of all of it. And this is why I love Hay House. Like I stand behind my publisher. My publisher has stood by me every step of this book launch. And Hay House probably didn't give me the biggest book advance that I could have gotten. You know, I probably could have gotten over $100,000 if I had gone with another publisher. But Hay House gave me a really nice advance. And, you know, I'll just be totally transparent. Hay House gave me a $50,000 advance. So that paid for all my publicity. It paid for all my editing. And, you know, there was a little bit of money left over just to like cushion the expenses of a book launch. And Hay House has just been completely behind me, you know, in a lot of ways. So Reed Tracy, who's the CEO of Hay House, who's trained by Louise Hay, who just passed away a couple weeks ago, he stands up in all of the mayhem and he says, there's one thing that every single one of you can do to guarantee that you will have a successful book. And you're going to think it's too simple and you're going to make fun of me for saying it, but I'm the CEO of Hay House and I need to say it. And everybody got kind of quiet, and he's like, write a very, very good book, right? He's just like, write a book that people actually want to read. They start reading it and they're intrigued by it. The stories are good. The information is good. The content is good. They're learning something. Like, writing a really good book trumps any strategy that you could ever implement. And of course, strategy is key. Because if you guys write a very good book and you don't do anything to get the book out in the world, you just hope that your publisher is going to do all of it for you, that's just a pipe dream. Like, publishers don't do that much for you these days. Hay House has definitely promoted my book. They've sold maybe 1,000 books, you know, and the other 5,000 books we've sold ourselves. And we're up to almost 7,000 books as of today. You know, more book orders are rolling in all the time. But, don't expect your publisher to sell books for you. You know, like the fact that you guys are all learning internet marketing tools, and most of you are in our programs learning how to actually get your message online, is going to help you in a huge way when you do decide to write a book, because, you know, it's up to us to get our book out into the world. So write a really, really, really good book. Tip number 2 in the behind the scenes training, as you get, for those of you guys that are following along with me on this 10 steps, is to not worry about giving away too much in your book. There's a few reasons I say that, and there's a few reasons why a lot of my colleagues back me up on this. Number 1, you're always changing and growing. Think about how many insights you might have in a given week that you think, oh, I'd like to tell my clients this, or, oh, you know, I could work this into my next meetup group, or I could write an article about this, right? Like the minute you publish your book, the minute your book hits, you know, the minute I sent my final copy to Hay House, I had like 3 ideas of more things I could put in the book. And I talk, you know, Sark's a good friend of mine. She says she's written like 14 books, you know? And she said every single time she writes a book, that happens to her. Like the next day or the next hour or the next moment, she's just like, oh, chapter 7 should have had this in it, you know? And so I just want to be the one to remind us all that you guys are all growing and stretching and learning all the time. And if you throw everything that you know into a book today, you're going to have more great stuff to give your clients tomorrow. And what you really want is you want clients to, you know, you want readers to pick up a book and say, oh my gosh, this person clearly has some answers for me. And she's sharing those answers in a style that resonates with me. And why would I not want to take the next step with her? So another thing that I did that is really supporting us, like our list was, in terms of actually active subscribers, our list was something like 85,000 people before I launched the book. And now we're up to like 114,000 people. Like we're getting crazy amounts of subscribers to my list every day because of the book. And at the end of every chapter, there's these integration exercises. Can you guys see that? And then at the end of every chapter, there's a download, right? Like here's the end of chapter 2, integration exercise, your financial inventory, you know, and then it says bonus breakthrough business training number 2. Go grab your 3 money breakthrough exercises. My clients tell me these are game changers. They're at www.womenrockingbusiness.com/guidebook. And so anybody who has the book can go to www.womenrockingbusiness.com/guidebook and grab that bonus. And that is happening at the end of every chapter. And guess what? Guess what happens when you go to womenrockingbusiness.com/guidebook? Well, what happens is they have to opt in. Yes, I want my 12 bonus trainings that come with the book. They have to opt in. Hold on, I should show you. Sorry, you guys. Isn't it great to know that you don't have to be perfect? So here's womenrockingbusiness.com/guidebook. All new bonuses, claim your 12 breakthrough bonus trainings to go along with your book. Yes, I want them. And they opt in. And now I get to stay in touch with them, right? So are you guys getting this? Make sure that when you put your book together, you send people back to your website, because people will read your book and never go look at your website if you don't give them a darn good reason to go back. So write this down. All paths, right, should lead back to my website or websites, right? All paths should lead back to people opting in to stay in touch with me, because this is very active marketing when you can grab somebody's email address and then stay in touch with them, versus passive marketing where, yeah, I liked the book, it was great, but like I don't really have any good reason to ever go check out this person's website or download their free stuff online. When you raise your hand if you guys are interested in writing a how-to guidebook. Raise your hand if you're interested in writing like a memoir, like stories about your life. Anybody interested in fiction? Okay, a few memoirs, a few stories about your, okay. So if you are wanting your book to actually do something for your business, right? You actually want it to help you grow your business, help you reach more people, help you like actually build a bigger base as a thought leader. Then I recommend, and so does Marcy Shimoff, and so do, you know, a lot of other authors who know a thing or two. We recommend you guys do start by writing a guidebook, a self-help book, and put pieces of memoir in it. Like when you guys start actually getting into my book, I think you're going to enjoy several aspects of the book. For those of you that have heard me tell a lot of stories and you've been with me for a while, you know, you'll probably flip through the book. You might not read it cover to cover, but I want you to pay attention to how in every chapter I have several things going on. Write this down. I have a personal story. I have a case study of some sort of an expert, somebody who's further along the path than I am in every chapter, except maybe 1 or 2 chapters. In every chapter, I have like a little how-to type of exercise for the reader. In every chapter, I have a case study. And in every chapter, I try to have some sort of like a universal law, right? Like something bigger that's holding us. So for those of you that are considering writing some sort of a guidebook for your business, you'll want to think about integrating integrating those pieces into every aspect of your book. Now, I'll post a picture for you guys in the, you know, who are with me in the programs of this. But what I did, and this was a really great idea that Marcy Shimoff taught me, I got a big poster board that was a poster board for my book. I got actually a few poster boards, and I had space on the wall for every chapter. I knew I wanted 12 chapters. And I put my chapter titles and I put my ideas for case studies and stories I wanted to tell and universal laws I wanted to weave in. I put all of that on Post-it notes. Are you following me? Because I'm a very visual person. And I wanted to be able to think of client stories I wanted to tell, or think of expert stories I wanted to tell. I wanted to be able to write those down on Post-it notes and then potentially move those from chapter to chapter as I was like dialing the whole thing in. So, and one of my friends did this, and she actually bought like pieces of paper, 1 piece of paper for each chapter. And then she was able to move the Post-it notes around based on which case study she wanted, you know, which little how-to thing in each chapter. And it's such an easy, visual, fun way to organize your book. Once you actually dial in all those chapters and you have all these different, so for me, it was like yellow Post-it notes. Those were my expert studies. I could easily glance and see, does every chapter have a expert study in it? Okay, case studies are a pink Post-it notes. Does every chapter have a pink Post-it note, right? Okay, my little how-to in each chapter is green Post-it notes. Does every chapter have a green Post-it note in it? And I was able to move that all around and then put together a really sweet typed up outline of my whole book. And I could very easily glance and make sure that each chapter included the aspects that I wanted it to include. And it made it so much fun. And then I took that and I started creating my book proposal. So what does a good book proposal have in it? And by the way, if you have a couple of things, if you have a book proposal, okay, so let me back up. If you want to get paid to write a book, like you want a book advance, there's a few things that you need. Write this down. You need a list of between 5,000 to 25,000 opt-ins. So if you don't have a mailing list of a solid 5,000 or 10,000 people opted into your website, I highly recommend you guys do that before you approach publishers. Why do you think I would say that? Who has an answer to that? Why do you think I would tell you go grow your list to at least 5,000 or 10,000 people before you approach publishers? Yeah, Daniela.
Oh, there we go. I'm thinking because if they're going to give you an advance, they're going to want to know that it's actually going to
benefit them too. Like it's actually going to work. You have a following already that's set there and working.
That's right. Publishers are willing to invest in authors who know how to market themselves. And the track record of, yes, we trust you to go out and market yourself, is that you actually have people opted into your website, because that lets them know that you know what an opt-in box is, you know what internet marketing is, you know how to send a blog out, and those things are all going to contribute to book sales. Kiss for you, Daniela. Mwah. So that doesn't mean that you can't start writing your book now. It just means that when you guys get ready to approach publishers, I highly recommend you guys give yourself a few months to focus on growing your list, so that when you approach publishers, you have that. So once you have a list, once you have a book proposal, then the third thing that you're probably going to want is an introduction to either a fairly accomplished book agent. I had a book agent that my friend Doug Abrams introduced me to. And I also had an introduction directly to Hay House. So my friend Greg Braden, some of you guys know Greg, I was in a really sweet entrepreneurial support community with him, and he actually introduced me to Hay House. And once he introduced me, I was like in touch with Hay House before I had a book proposal, and I was like, carefully planning out what I should say in my email, because I was trying to let Hay House know that I was really serious about writing this book, even though I didn't have a book proposal yet. So I just was like, Greg, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm in the process of finding an agent and putting the finishing touches on my book proposal. And of course, my book proposal was like barely started, but I wanted Hay House to take me seriously. So that was all really exciting. And you guys, when you get to the point where you have a list of 5,000 or 10,000 people and you have a book proposal, I am happy to introduce you to my book agent. And that doesn't guarantee that you'll get to work with her. But it does absolutely, it does absolutely help you to have that introduction. And for any of you who are willing to do that level of commitment to get those, to get those opt-ins on your mailing list and to get your book proposal together. And I know for many of you that might be a year from now, but don't be afraid if you have those two things put together to reach out to me and ask me for an introduction to my book agent, because I'm happy to do that for those of you guys that would actually want that, that actually are willing to take that step. And there's a lot of great book agents out there. And if you start asking author friends of yours, if you start asking entrepreneurial friends of yours, you'll probably get introduced to several book agents. And I'm happy to be one of the people that introduces you to book agents. And then it's a matter of potentially chatting with those different book agents and seeing what they can do for you. I really liked my agent because she had a great relationship with Hay House. So let me tell you a little bit about the book proposal process. So what do you need when you go about the wonderful, 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 exciting process of putting together a book proposal? So the recipe that I have for you guys in the behind the scenes bundle is pretty comprehensive. Okay, a book proposal is 10 to 25 pages long, and that does not include sample chapters. That essentially sells your book. Okay, when it's when you put some good thought into your book proposal, this is when you get a book advance from publishers. Obviously, having a platform will increase the chances of your book getting picked up by major publishers. I recommend in this document having a mailing list of at least 10,000 people. I do know authors who have gotten book advances with less than this. So if you guys have a strong list of 5,000 people who are engaged and you're actively building your online presence, that can position you to get a book advance as well. Like I said, when you guys really do a good job putting your book proposal together, the great thing about this is you're actually about halfway done writing your book, which is a great feeling, because once you have your book proposal done, then you can really rest into enjoying the process of building out each chapter. Okay. By the way, there's a bunch more information here on how to write a book proposal. I gave you guys that URL. So here's what your book proposal has to include. An overview of the book, like what the book's going to be about, why does it matter? A bio, your own bio. Selling points of the book, why are people actually going to want this book? A marketing plan, what are you going to do to get the book out into the world? Praise for the author. By the way, some of you are in. Some of you are in my praise for the author. I think there's a quote from you, Megan Neely, about being one of my clients, and you ended up in my book proposal. I also have praise for me as an author from some established experts. I approached Marcy Shimoff and Claire Zammit and Greg Braden, and I had them write me an endorsement based on who they know me to be. So for those of you who are my clients, again, I'm happy to support you guys with this when you get to this, when you get to this level of commitment in your book proposal. I'm happy to help you brainstorm who to have write you some endorsements, and I'm happy to write you an endorsement myself. Then you also need what's called a competitive analysis, where you compare your book with other books that are like it, so that the publisher can see that you've done some market research to find out like what other books are out there that are similar to my book, and how does my book compare, and what gap in the market does my book fill that other books don't fill. You'll need a sample, a table of contents. Just so you guys know, my table of contents shifted around quite a bit in the editing process. So I wouldn't be too concerned to make sure your table of contents is perfect. Just get something out. And by the way, for many of you who have built out your marketable program, like you have a 6-month program or you have a 12-month program that you put clients through, that can be a great table of contents. My very first table of contents was essentially like the 12 things I teach in Entrepreneurial Leadership Academy. And then those chapters got kind of reconfigured and redesigned to be more palatable to somebody who was just reading a book versus somebody that had just invested thousands of dollars in business training, right? But it was a great place for me to start. Then you'll need little summaries of each chapter, and you need at least one fully built out sample chapter. So I just literally like wrote chapter 1. Here's some excerpts from my book proposal that will help you guys get started, I think. There's the overview of my book had to do with, over the last 15 years, women have stepped into entrepreneurship in greater numbers than men. And why are we doing that? Well, we're doing that because we want our own autonomy, right? We want to be able to have the career and the family, right? I'm building a case for why women are going to want another how-to guide. Here is my sample bio. My selling points included that we had 4 years of sold out Entrepreneurial Leadership Academy programs. There was a time where we did our events for my year-long training program, Entrepreneurial Leadership Academy. There was a time that we did our events at this retreat center that only sat like 40 or 50 people in the room. So literally we would sell out at 50 people in that program. Plus I was pretty much operating with like one assistant at that point. So not sure I could have put any more than 40 or 50 people in that program. But for us to let our publisher know, like, hey, we actually have, dozens of people paying us every year for year-long training programs. We're actually a legit company. At that point, I did have about 40,000 people between my mailing list and my Facebook tribe engaged. By the way, you guys, these days, how many people are engaged with you on Facebook can mean just as much as your list size. So just be aware of that as you're building your Facebook audiences. Other selling points for my book is that, this was an influential guidebook that was, it has like really practical how-to step-by-step, but it also has a lot of inspirational stories and expert case studies and things like that. And then I also addressed this whole thing around women's relationship with money, right? Because this is a unique piece of content that I feel I bring into the conversation, right? Because there aren't that many guidebooks out there just for women around business. So how can you ask yourself the question, like, what sets your book apart? I also mentioned here several of the things that I was going to be doing to promote the book, right? Affiliate promotions, social media, Facebook, and my blog, right? This lets my publisher know that I have a plan for getting this book out into the world. When you guys get on the speaking circuit and you start getting up in front of audiences to speak, those are all really good things to include in your book proposal. This was our plan to move books, right? Some of you guys saw that I launched that Tribe program, which is, I ended up doing a little bit of a different spin on this. This was my original idea, to do somewhat of a certification program for women who want to be business mentors. I decided to table that program till next year, but for the women who joined the Tribe program, and I think we had 30 women join the Tribe program, 30 or 40 women joined the Tribe program, and another 20 or 30 women are upgrading to Tribe from Events That Change Lives. Those women all got to receive a stack of books, and that stack of books can then be given out to more women who are starting businesses. So this is another way to move books. If you guys can think of a way to bundle books, and bundle books, not just in a way of like selling books, not just for the sake of book sales, but for the sake of actually getting those books into the hands of people that will read the book, right? If there's a reason that you can come up with that your clients would want 10 books or 25 books or 50 books, that's a wonderful way to get the books into the hands of more people, right? Because now you're using the community that you have, and you're building a deeper relationship with the community that you already have, rather than having to constantly go out and try to grow new community more. For those of you that watched my Tribe launch, people got really excited because they're going to get to spend a couple days with me next month learning specifically, actually it's in November, learning specifically how to grow a tribe. And about half the book is all about growing a tribe. And many of the women who signed up for Tribe are in the business consultant field. So they'll get a stack of books. They can use those books to pass out to their first 20 clients. They can sell those books and make their money back. They can do whatever they want to with the books. But the 2-day Tribe training became very valuable when people found out they were going to get a stack of books to accompany the training. So this can be a great way to get the book out there. My publisher was excited that I was thinking outside of the box around how to get the book into people's hands more organically like that. Here's some of the praise I was able to pull together. And then here's my table of contents. When you guys put your table of contents together, one of the things that you're going to want to think about is that you, rather than just having a table of contents, it's very, publishers, I've been told that publishers are really looking for you and for authors to actually have an organized table of contents so that there's sections of your book, so that it's not just like 12 random chapters or 15 random chapters or 20 random chapters. They're looking for organization, right? So my book is, it's split up into 3 parts. Part 1 is all about discovering the purpose of your business. Part 2 is all about getting your mindset aligned. And part 3 is about here's the things that you actually need to do to grow your dream business. And you guys can imagine that this table of contents has definitely evolved from the steps of my marketable program. For those of you that are familiar with the process of putting together like a 6-step or a 10-step marketable program, I mean, can you guys imagine if I spent the first 6 months with my clients only working on mindset? My clients might get a little bit pissed at me, right? So you guys, can see that like a book is like the way that a reader reads a book is different than a client coming into your program. You know, clients coming into your program might need more tangible strategy content right away in their first couple months with you. But somebody who's reading a book might be really happy to read the first half of the book and just be in like a dreaming mode or a exploration mode before they get to real tangible strategy. So just be open to taking the steps of your marketable program potentially and rearranging them completely for more of a reader type audience, right? Somebody who's either listening to your book on Audible or reading through your book is going to have different needs than somebody who's sitting in your virtual classroom as your client. So I think that would be a good moment to just say hi to you guys again and see if you have any questions so far about the process of putting a book proposal together or anything I've shared about so far. No questions. Oh yeah, Daniela, pop back in. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if you could clarify a little bit the purpose of a book agent. I'm not exactly sure what their role is and what they're doing for you and what you want them to do.
Thank you so much. I forgot to mention that small little fact. Small but important fact. So having a book agent does a couple things for you. Number one, a book agent is doing the negotiations with the publisher. So, you know, I personally really needed Hay House to promote me a certain number of times. I needed to build that into the contract. I was a first-time author. I had no idea what to ask for. I had no idea what I could or could not, you know, negotiate for. So having a book agent, number one, really protects you because you're signing on the dotted line to get this thing done by a certain date. Right. And now you have this responsibility hanging over your head and you're going to get this thing out into the world, but you want to know that your publisher is, number one, going to be behind you in certain ways. You want to know, like I needed to know from my agent at one point, like how much wiggle room do I have? Like if I need to take an extra 6 weeks to finish the first draft, like are they going to all of a sudden like not give me the second half of my book advance or like, you know, there's just so much that comes up. The agent is your negotiator with your publisher. So every author I know who's really been able to make a great living off their books and who's taking the authorship road seriously definitely has a book agent. And, you know, I have colleagues that have gotten book advances of $100,000, $300,000 to write a book. And that all came down to the agent. An agent is going to take 15% commission on your book advance, typically. And your book advance typically gets paid out in 3 chunks. You'll get paid a third when you sign the contract, a third of your book advance upon delivery of the first draft of the manuscript, and then the final third when the book is published. And then your book agent will take 15% out of each of those chunks. Okay. So your publisher will cut a check to your book agent, and your book agent then cuts you a check. And there's definitely been a lot of moments I've needed to call up my book agent. And my book agent was really good about looking over my table of contents and looking over the manuscript as it came together and answering. Like she had a really good perspective on you know, the literary world, because I don't come from the literary world. So I definitely recommend you guys hiring somebody that you think you can, you know, enjoy working with. And then be sure to look over that contract really carefully. You know, my book agent had this clause in the contract that said something about my second book, like her having, you know, some sort of rights to my second book. And that was just like a clause that she, you know, that just was like left over from a contract that she wasn't trying to be sneaky with me or anything, but I showed the contract to my lawyer and my lawyer was like, are you sure you want to hand over the rights to your second book to this agent? And, you know, she was happy to take it out. And she actually admitted to me that actually had gotten left over from another author that she was working with. But whenever you guys get into contractual agreements with publishers and with book agents and all of these kinds of things, I think that it's definitely a time to find a decent, good, affordable lawyer that you trust and spend a few $100s having somebody look over a contract like that, because it's, it was actually the first time I had legitimately hired a lawyer was when I signed my book contract, because it was such a big thing I was saying yes to. I mean, delivering on a book by a certain date, I just wanted to make sure that I protected myself in any way that I could. Like, what if I got sick? Like, what if something happened? I just wanted to know that they weren't holding me liable for certain things. Danielle, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Sorry, I forgot that small detail. Anybody else have questions about book proposals, the process? No? If you guys are on the phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. One of the things that I would love to support a few of you with today, if we have time, is just thinking through book titles and, book organizations. So be thinking about if I can help you with that. Okay, so a couple more things I want to share about this process of writing a book. I've been pretty visible about my book. As you guys know, some of you guys are probably getting sick of hearing about the book. I've been pretty visible about it all year long. And I've made videos about it, and I've done a couple of blogs about it where I'm like, hey, here's chapter 1. What do you think of this? If you read this chapter, would you want to read the rest of the book? If you picked up a book called Women Rocking Business, like, what would you want to learn? So I've been actively sort of engaging my subscribers and my tribe for a while now. And I've gotten some great feedback from them. In fact, it was my tribe that said, I want to hear about times that you wanted to give up. I want to hear about times that, some of your colleagues wanted to give up. I want to hear about what you did when you didn't feel like you could take one more step, It was my tribe that said they wanted to hear more about my giving back model. I didn't know how much to talk about giving back, because entrepreneurs tend to feel like they need to know how to make money before they want to talk about giving back. It's like, yeah, Sage, great. I want to give back, but I need to make money before I can give back. But I did have a lot of people in my tribe give me the feedback that they wanted to understand how I had partnered with Pachamama, how I had partnered with nonprofit organizations, how I had built that into my business model. So that actually ended up becoming an entire chapter. Chapter 12 is all about giving and getting. By the way, Karen Kessler, thank you so much for the compliment on the chat thread. I'll keep an eye on this chat thread, by the way, you guys. If you guys have questions and you're on the phone, or if you can't pop onto video for some reason and want me to just answer your questions on chat. But yeah, asking your tribe for guidance is a great way to make sure that you're writing a book that people will actually want to read. I want to talk a little bit about Facebook and social media and how that interfaces with your book. Again, I would say that at least 50% of my book is already out in the world in other ways, probably 75% of my book. Does that make sense? Like, 75% of my book has been dripped out into the world in the form of articles and paragraphs and inspirational quotes and videos that I've been making over the last couple of years. And so one of the things I really want to make sure you guys are all aware of is that as you're putting together, as your body of work is coming together, as your process for working with women who are, getting out into the dating world for the first time. For those of you that are teaching, the inner work, the intuitive work, the mindset work, women's leadership work, for, the work of healing from trauma, the work of becoming your own badass boss. Like, your body of work is unfolding right now, even as you're on this call with me. And when you guys go to put your book together, a lot of your book is already going to be created. It's just going to be a process of actually getting it organized and getting the transitions right and getting the right stories in the right places. And so, the reason I was excited about some of you getting this training at this moment in your careers is not because I think you should go get a book agent tomorrow, right? Most of you are still building your platform. But the reason I was excited about getting you this information was because if you can think about this, I listened to a very similar training call with an author during, probably like the second year of my business. And it just helped me really understand. It helped me get a little bit sober around my own commitment to build my business, my own commitment to build my company, that nobody was going to discover me and like build my company for me. It got me recommitted to sort of like the long haul that it is to build a company. I mean, to build a company, to build a business where you have 5,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to happen over the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years time. And when you can, it's one of the reasons why I'm so freaking committed to my schedule. I'm committed to taking a week off every month. I'm committed to my freedom schedule. I'm committed to not being an entrepreneur, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Like, I think one of the biggest things that we have to learn as women entrepreneurs especially is to pace ourselves and to take time in life where we're not hustling and we're not peddling products, so that we can stay juiced up for months or for a couple of years to really get the momentum that we're all looking for. And I know that it can be a hustle to get going. Shea posted a beautiful, very vulnerable post on our Facebook page this morning of just, wow, this is a lot. And I post those same types of posts. Is it okay that I shared that, Shea? I post those same posts, as you guys know, because none of us can do this alone. And, we look out in the world and we see the Brene Browns and the Brendon Burchards, and we see all these people, the Marie Forleos, and we see all these people that like are so put together and they make it look so easy. And like, we don't remember that they've been doing this for like 10 years, Marie Forleo's been at this like way more than a decade. Brendon Burchard's been at this for way more than a decade. These guys have been at this for years, and they found a message. They found something that they love talking about to the point where they feel inspired and on fire to keep talking about it for months and for years, and to grow that trust with their tribe. And so as you guys are launching, many of you in my leverage community are launching Facebook pages. We'll be teaching entrepreneurial leaders how to do that a little bit more later this year. Many of you are launching fan pages. I think the thing that oftentimes we do is we're like, oh, I'll just go launch a fan page and I'll throw some stuff up there, and then we forget about it for a month, and like a month goes by and we don't even post on it. I know I've been guilty of that myself. Right? So it's like, what would it take for you to start to have an outline? Like for me, I started having an outline of my book and quotes, inspirational quotes that accompanied each chapter and little stories that accompanied each chapter. And I actually just started cataloging those into a Word doc. And those were the quotes and the posts that my assistant was posting on my Facebook fan page once a week or twice a week. I would just tell her to post that stuff. And that way I was consistently building a relationship with people on Facebook, even when I forgot. There's also software now that you can schedule Facebook posts and Twitter posts. Do you guys remember what it's called? It's a great software. TweetChat, I think, is one of them, or TweetDeck. Jen Sebastian could probably type it into the chat if she's still here. But I think it's called TweetChat. Anyway, you can email my office if you're curious about it, or for those of you that are in our year-long programs, just post and we'll get that information for you. But to really reorient yourself around, this all needs to happen this week, it all needs to happen this month, to reorient yourself to like, this is a path that I've chosen, that I'm considering being on this path for years. Hootsuite, thank you, Sasha. Hootsuite is a great way to schedule social media posts. But I really want to speak to, and I'm going to be speaking to this a lot more tomorrow night when I live stream my book party, but I just want to speak to this choice that we've all made to embark upon a path of purposeful entrepreneurship and getting a message out into the world, that is really this path of self-actualization. Like we're basically saying, I'm choosing to self-actualize through this path of entrepreneurship. Megan Neely and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, where it's like, entrepreneurship is not always easy. Like there's going to be a lot of days it's hard as hell. And so why else would we do it if we weren't actually saying yes to evolving our soul, to evolving like the very reason why we came here, right? Through entrepreneurship. You know, like I face small failures in my business every day, and I know every single one of you do too. It feels like you're failing almost every day. Raise your hand if you can relate to this. So why do we do it, right? Like we do it because it's growing us, right? So like, I think one of the things that as women we're very in touch with is we're in touch with how in process we are. Even more so than men. Like we're in touch with the ways that we don't have it all together. We're in touch with what's really true about us. You know, I sold almost 7,000 books. I haven't sold 10,000 books. I really want, I know that sounds like a big number, but you guys, like I've been building this company for 5 years. I wanted to be able to get on this call today and tell you guys, I did it. I hit my gold goal. I sold 10,000 books. You know what? I didn't. Like we sold 7,000 and I'm proud of those 7,000. And like you guys have your own level of that where you're like, I want to be able to stand in front of my clients and say, yes, you can fall in love with the man of your dreams. Yes, you can trust your intuition 100% of the time. Yes, I can heal you from trauma. But you guys are in touch with the fact that that's not true. You can't heal anybody from trauma. You can't guarantee somebody's going to fall in love with the love of their life. Like we're in touch with how in process we are. So we have to move from any sort of shame that we're running about that. We have to move from this sort of shame model that a lot of society like it instills into us. We have to move from like a shame model into a growth model, into like us really stepping on a path of I am committed to my growth. I'm committed to growing. And I'm committed to growing the business alongside growing myself. And I'm in touch with the fact that I don't know everything about business. I'm in touch with the fact that I don't have everything figured out. I'm in touch with the fact that I'm not even totally sure how to stand for my clients sometimes. But what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to figure it out alongside them. And I know that I'm 1 or 2 steps ahead of a lot of people in this certain area. And I know I can help people in that area. So I'm going to be honest with them of, I don't have it all figured out, but here's what I'm committed to on your behalf. And that edge, as we go into the process of putting written materials out into the world and putting book materials out into the world and even putting a blog out into the world, is the edge I invite you guys into. How can you stand in your own power more and more with what you know right now, not expecting yourselves to be perfect? So I'd like to show you guys a couple more pieces of my book launch. All right, you guys okay with switching gears? Just unmute yourself and say yes if you are wanting to learn a little bit more internet marketing strategy. You guys down for more internet marketing strategy?
Sure.
Yes. Yes, please.
Yes. Give it to us, Sage. Hi, Robin Holland. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Sasha. I see you on video now. Good to see your beautiful face. Okay, so there's some cool geeky things that we discovered as we went about the process of launching this book that you guys might find interesting. Okay, so basically a couple of things you guys are going to want to do is you guys are going to want to launch what we call lead magnets for your book. Okay, so when you go to get your book out into the world, what you want to know, what you need to know, write this down. Not everybody buys a book before they have a relationship with you. So you've got to ask yourself, how do I start building a relationship with people so that they will consider buying the book? What's the first step? What's the first easy, digestible, free goodie that I can give them that leads them to an opportunity to buy the book? So we came up with 2. One was this free dream business guidebook. Now, looking back, I probably should have designed this as a checklist, but I had already created it as a guidebook and it was so hot, it was working so well, I decided to just go with it. So we created this Dream Business Guidebook for Women. Notice this is not a picture of me on my opt-in page. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be a picture of you. Notice I didn't have to cut a fancy video to be able to get this out into the world. Like, this website took my team an hour to set up. It was so easy. It's a stock photo and a tiny bit of text. And we're getting leads on Facebook for just $2 per lead with this page. Okay, so we just send people a little ad that says, hey, grab this 10-step, Dream Business Guidebook for Women. And for $2, we're getting leads. The other lead magnet that we came up with is, many of you have seen the Wealth Leadership Quiz. Take this 2-minute quiz to discover your wealth leadership style. By the way, this font and everything here on this page is not spaced out very well, but we used lead pages to do this, and you can't do any formatting in lead pages. And what's cool is that even though the formatting, I believe, like, the text could have been much bigger and laid out better on this page, even though the text is totally imperfect, we're still getting like a 78% conversion on this page. And we're getting a 76 or 74% conversion on this page. So both of these pages are converting super high. And we're getting about $2 per lead for both the quiz and the Dream Business Guidebook. So one of these lead magnets converted into book sales much higher than the other one. How many of you guys think it was the quiz? Quiz converted into book sales much, much, much higher. Raise your hand if you think it was the quiz. Raise your hand if you think it was the Dream Business Guidebook. Okay, how come you think that? Who will back up their argument? Just unmute yourself and let us know. How come you think? More of you raised your hand for Dream Business Guidebook. How come you think that, Karen?
They already said they were looking for a book.
Totally. Yep. I think that's definitely part of it. They were in the mode to consume content rather than just take a quick quiz. What else? Anybody else? Kathleen?
I think they were looking for answers. How can I do this by myself? Yeah. And if I can't find it by myself, I'm going to buy your book.
Yeah. So they're actually looking for more business guidance versus a quiz. It's like just a little bit of information about their money style, right? So this is pretty cool. The Dream Business Guidebook converted into book sales with cold traffic 8 times higher. I was surprised it was that much higher. The Dream Business Guidebook converted into book sales at around 8.5%. And the quiz converted into book sales at only about 1.5%. This is cold traffic. Affiliate traffic was totally different. Affiliate traffic, I think the Dream Business Guidebook outperformed the quiz by only about twice as much, because it's so different when you get an email from somebody you trust and then you take this assessment and then you get an opportunity to buy a book, right? Because they already have somewhat of a relationship with me when it's an affiliate mailing. But one of the pages that you guys may want to take a look at in the next week or two before we take it down is womenrockingbusiness.com/new book. This is the page that people would go to after they download one of the goodies. And this page is very, it's very well designed to sell books. And this page is converting pretty high into book sales. And the video script, I think, is pretty strong. It basically lets people know like what I'm standing for on their behalf. And it also lets people know some really cool bonuses that they get when they buy the book. Oftentimes it's bonuses that really sell the book. You've got to give people a reason to buy the book now, or else they'll just think about it and go buy the book on Amazon. One of the things that we decided to do, because a book launch is quite expensive, right? We're spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. I spent thousands of dollars to have these really professional videos created. One of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to be able to recoup a little bit of our investment. You know, when you guys think about it, you're going to spend thousands of dollars to put a book launch together, and you're selling a product that you don't make any money off of. One of the things that would be interesting for some of you to know, that, you know, any of you that want to geek out on the way a book works financially. So the way a book works financially is that a publisher will give you a book advance, and then you don't make any money on the book until after you've paid back your advance. Does that make sense? The book advance is actually an advance on book sales. That's what they're giving you. $50,000 or $100,000 or $25,000 or however much they give you, they're giving you that as an advance against book sales. And then book sales start to come in, and as soon as they've paid themselves back for that book advance, then you start making a percentage of book sales. So one of the things that we decided to do is we decided to recoup a little bit of our investment. So our original page, do you guys remember how much we were selling the book for? You guys remember?
$33.
Yeah, we decided to sell it for $33. And our reasoning for that was, you know, anybody that's going to go spend $24 on a hardcover book is probably also likely to spend $33. And we found that to be true. We actually split tested with one of my colleagues who was doing just buy the book, and we had this page converted about, you know, very similarly. So we decided to recoup a little bit of our investment so that we're basically making like, you know, $5 or $6 per book. The other thing that $5 or $6 per book did is it allowed us to handle some of the little kinks that came up throughout the process. For instance, you might wonder what they were. We forgot to charge international shipping the first 10 days that this book was out. And so we literally had like, I don't know, 200 orders go through internationally without charging any shipping. Well, do the math on that, and that could get expensive really fast. So, you know, we caught it and we started charging people shipping. And it's nice to have a little bit of money to play with when these kinds of things happen. Basically, because the book came out today, one of the things that we've now done is we've sent people, instead of collecting money for the book ourselves and placing the orders ourselves, literally this morning, you guys can see that now we have a two-step process. And this is something that I recommend you guys maybe consider just doing from the beginning. It would have saved us a ton, and I am talking a ton, of customer service if we had just sent people to buy the book on their own. And then they come back and they enter the receipt number and they claim their bonuses. So all they have to do is enter their receipt number, and it basically triggers my system to send them an email with a link to all their bonuses. It's all totally automated. And then we no longer have to run any book orders through our system. However, we're not going to be making any money on books from this point out. Does that make sense? So, you know, we were making some money on books when we were able to collect the payment for books ourselves. One of the risks of doing it this way, there's a lot of like goods and bads to which way to do it. One of the risks of doing it in this two-step process is that basically what happens is everybody goes and buys the book on Amazon. And what we're in the process of doing is we're in the process of having it be so that people can buy the book several different places. If it means anything to you guys to become like a bestseller, one of the things about becoming a bestseller is like New York Times bestseller and other campaigns are looking for books to get book orders to get placed through a variety of channels. Does that make sense? They're looking for books to go through bookstores. They're looking for books to go through other online platforms other than Amazon. So if you just send a few thousand orders through Amazon, it it doesn't necessarily trigger bookstores to get more books in their stores. So there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages to either collecting the book money yourself versus sending people to go buy books. And it really comes down to your goals for your book. So at the level, when you're ready to make that decision, I just recommend doing some research with your book agent. You're welcome to ask me what's going on in the industry at that moment, because it is always changing, and we'll help you make a decision, about whether you should have people just go buy the book on their own and claim the bonuses, or whether you should collect all the book money yourself. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. Obviously, many of you are not going to be making that decision in the next few weeks. But do you guys have any questions about any of that so far in terms of the conversion and the lead magnets? I think one of the things that would be helpful for you guys to do, again, today or in the next few days while you're in the energy of this, if you're curious about how launches work, not just launching a book, but launching anything online, right? I mean, I can basically use this whole funnel, and I can replace my book at some point if I want to with an ebook, and I can use this funnel to get people into my other, the funnels are built, so I can do anything I want to with this funnel now. Some of you guys have seen free plus shipping offers where all you have to do is pay shipping. Have you guys seen those offers? Right? You get the free book, all you have to do is pay $7 shipping or, $8 shipping. Well, the way that the authors are doing that is they're actually using their author discount to buy up books. Publishers don't always love this, because if I were to go buy thousands of books at my author's discount and get the books out into the hands of people, the publisher isn't making any money for those books sold. Now, the idea is if I can get the books into thousands of hands, people's friends are going to see it, and people are going to see each other reading it on the airplane, and, it's going to trigger other people to potentially go buy the book as well. But what I really want to make sure each of you understands, those of you who are getting into online marketing, is how did I go from successfully having people get a free download to then seeing a video and then putting down $33? Because any of you guys can do that. You don't have to have a book to be able to do that, right? And what that's essentially called is, it's called a tripwire sale. A tripwire sale. And what that means is that you've got a little freebie online that leads to people actually paying some money for something. And it could be anywhere from $7 to $49, but they're paying a minimal amount of money for some little goodie or some little mini course or something that you're selling. And then the way to really monetize a tripwire sale, by the way, you guys, just so you know, nobody gets rich off of a tripwire sale. Like, nobody makes hundreds of thousands of dollars on a $7 product. When you see people doing that, that's not the way they're making their money. The way they're making their money is on the upsells. Where do they take people once people buy that $7 product? Because they're spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on ads to run people through that tripwire funnel. Do you see what I mean? So in order to recoup their tens of thousands of dollars they're spending on Facebook ads or social media ads or Google ads every month to get people through that funnel, they then need to take a percentage of those $7 sales or a percentage of those $33 sales and upsell those people into a $1,000 product or upsell those people into a $5,000 product. And that's the whole reason why, for those of you that are in our year-long courses, we teach you to start by pimping out your longer, high-level product. Because if you don't know how to do that, it's very difficult to make a tripwire sale work for you. Renee, I saw your hand, or Regina, I saw your hand go up.
I'm just wondering if you have anything to say about self-publishing.
Oh, I do. I absolutely do. That's a great question. So first of all, let me just back up. Was that helpful for you guys to hear about the tripwire sale philosophy? Right? And I think a lot of us are like, well, can't it be easier? Can't I just throw something up on Facebook? Can't I just throw something up online? Like this whole get rich quick mentality. Like, I've been hanging out in the sort of multimillionaire circles for years, and just trust me when I say that's just not how it works, right? People buy and they keep buying when they actually sense and can perceive that there's real value there. And that's why we really encourage you guys to put your energy into creating some programs that are real substantial value that actually change lives, you actually have clients that are like, yeah, this helped me. It was really cool this morning for me to post that vulnerable Facebook post. I must have had at least 24 of my graduates and previous clients being like, oh my God, thank you so much. Your book is out. Thanks for continuing to be vulnerable. I'm going to go buy your book right now. You know, and so like for me to get to remember that like people that have done my program 2 years ago are still benefiting from it. And that's the experience I'm really standing for each of you having, that you actually care more about the lives that are in front of you right now and the lives of people that are going to hire you in the next few months, that you put more energy into that than you put into the other marketing tactics. And if you can keep that proportion healthy, where you're making sure you're giving to actual real people and actually making a difference for people, then your marketing, you'll have those opportunities where your marketing goes viral and people start sharing your stuff without you even asking, and you get to, I'm just now, like many of you know, in the last sort of year of my business, I'm really getting to step into being a teacher and traveling and speaking, and like I'm just letting go of a lot of the admin and a lot of the launch planning, and that's been an incredible thing. This is the first launch where I didn't even look at some of those pages that went up. I sat in a meeting once a week and my team told me how they were converting, and I didn't even see them until people were actually already opting in. Like I didn't design them, and like that was a first for me. Up until this book launch, I've basically designed and communicated every single piece of my thing to my graphic designer and done the whole freaking thing myself, so to be able to hire a high-end launch manager to put my launch together was really a gift. And I'm excited for any of you who, want to keep like, I don't believe in bigger, badder, faster, stronger. What I do believe in is if you feel driven to grow your company, to grow your business to the point where you can spend a good solid 50 to 75% of your time, like in your genius zone, that's when I think it really starts to be what some of you are probably wanting it to be right now. And I just want to be a voice of reflection that it's possible. It's totally possible. And you have to seriously be willing to keep going like again and again and again and again. And every single one of you has that in you. You have it. It's in you. You can totally do it. Let me talk about self-publishing for a minute. So self-publishing is a great way to get a book out into the world and use your book to make money. Self-publishing, I think, is a totally, completely legitimate choice. What self-publishing won't probably do for you is it probably won't get you bigger speaking engagements, right away. It probably won't get you starting to be positioned among other, sort of like the circuits, the thought leader circuits. One of my goals has been to make a bigger impact. I've invested a lot of my company's savings back into the business. I really want to change the way business is being done on the planet. Like I think that a lot of the traditional business practices and the ways that we're teaching business and framing business are really toxic. And that part of my message is not going to make me oodles of money. But having a training company that supports me, that has an accompanying message where I essentially do get paid to also talk about something that I believe in, is part of what I feel we can all do with our businesses, right? So we need to make sure that we separate out what people will pay us for versus like our thought leader message. Because many of you have a thought leader message. You have something that you're standing for. Like for me, it's like equal pay for women. I'm standing for that, but that's not necessarily why people are going to pay me. People are going to pay me because I can teach them how to build their dream business. See, and this is true for every single one of you, right? Like Divya, you may be a voice in the thought leader movement around trauma in the coming years. You may have something to say at a global platform around how do we heal from trauma. But what people are going to pay you for now is I want healing now. I want to know how to deal with the fact that I'm emotionally unstable and my body hurts, and right. I sometimes let my emotions get the best of me when I'm at work, right? Like whatever that is, that's what they'll pay you for. So for you guys to make sure that you separate those two things out in your mind. And then if you want a thought leader platform, not all of us do. It's not that, it's a very personal choice. If you want a thought leader platform, that would be a reason to go with a traditional publisher. Now, there's another choice that's totally legitimate, and that is, hey, I have a book now, and I want to use it as part of my funnel now, and I don't care about the process of getting a publisher. And Regina, you could put your ebook out there as part of your funnel, and either have it be free or have it be $7. And build a funnel around that, and we can support you to do that through the Leverage program. And you can get your book out there, and then a year from now, once you've grown your list to 5,000 or 10,000 people, you can, rewrite 2 of the chapters of your book or give it a little bit of a different title and start to approach publishers with that same book. And you can say, look, 5,000 people have already downloaded this thing and they're loving it, and go to this one page of my blog and they're posting about it. And I actually want to bring this book into the world in a bigger way. And that's going to be a wonderful positioning piece for you. Now, the publisher would want to know that the book you were presenting them was different enough, like just a little bit different than the ebook. But that could be a great way to get your book out there now if you want to approach a publisher in the next in the next couple coming years. And there's a lot of amazing books out there that are self-published. And if you look at the research, in terms of books that actually get read by hundreds of thousands of people, like if you want your book to end up kind of like having a life of its own, it is very difficult to do that without a publisher. Does that make sense? I will also be honest that part of the headache that my publisher took care of for me was just like every piece of this book logistically thinking, like the page count, the formatting, the cover design, all of the graphics. There are, like one of my girlfriends published an organizational book. She self-published. She must have spent 3 weeks, almost 40 hours a week, just dealing with trying to get the print. And she went with some really cool, savvy company that she had been referred to on the internet that was going to take her book and make sure the chapters all looked good and make sure the printing was all correct. And, she went through 4 or 5 drafts that were just like a mess, and she had to completely redo the formatting, and her assistant was dealing with PDFs and formatting for like weeks on end. And when you go with a publisher, that is one wonderful thing that they just handle for you. They handle, Hay House handled all the final editing. They paid for all the final rounds of editing. They paid for all the printing. They just handled all that. That none of that headache had to be in my company at all. Yeah, there's so much more research to do on self-publishing versus having a publisher, and it's a totally legitimate path. You would definitely, benefit if that's something that you're really interested in doing in talking to more people and asking more people that question who have self-published. And if you want to be an author, like if you want to be an author who publishes several books throughout your lifetime, my author friends will tell you having a publisher, it just really positions you, right? It positions you to be on an author track where, a part of what you bring to the world is that you're bringing out a book every couple of years or however often you might want to bring a book to the world. Do you have any other questions for me, Regina? Cool. That's what I know about it. Okay. A couple of you have asked about video, and there's a question here. How do you suggest to incorporate video with a how-to? I teach singing and sound. That's awesome. I think it's Diane. Diane, one of the things that you could do is you could have a video module that goes along with every chapter, just like I had an integration exercise that accompanies every chapter. You guys saw the little string of video bonuses you get when you buy the book. You could actually have like a little video how-to module that accompanies every chapter. or when you buy the book, maybe you just get a series of, you wouldn't even have to do one for every single chapter. But on the back end, that would be a really great way to interact with your readers through the internet, to interact with your readers virtually through providing video modules that accompany the book. And then to back up, one of the reasons why, if you guys look at my book bonuses and you look at the way I orchestrated my book launch, my book bonuses were pretty simple for me to deliver on. They weren't long, drawn out video modules to accompany every chapter. And one of the reasons why I chose that is because I wanted to make sure I had enough energy and time to actually sell the book. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but I've been doing Facebook Lives. I don't know. How many Facebook Lives do you guys think I've done? Like dozens of Facebook Lives over the last few months. And every time I do a Facebook Live, I sell another 25 books, another 50 books. That's when people are actually buying the book, when they're with me, live. And I'm actually talking about what's in chapter 7 and what you can learn from chapter 7 and why chapter 7's awesome. And then we have dozens more people go buy the book. So, it's like, how did I get those 6,000 people to buy books? One at a time. And I was willing to open up my schedule and just be with people a lot. And so when you guys put your book launch together, I want you to really consider that. Like, if you want to sell thousands of books, make sure you leave enough time open in your schedule to go out and sell the books. Make sure that you're not in the studio for 2 full weeks, cutting all of these videos that are going to accompany the book. And then nobody buys the book because you didn't leave yourself enough energy to go out and actually have, the time in front of people to sell the book. Does that make sense? You guys need more time, just like with anything else, right? This is the same as anything else in business. You basically need more time marketing the thing that you're selling than you need time set aside to deliver on the thing you're offering, right? So you're going to spend more time going out there and marketing yourself than you're going to spend with clients. If you want a bigger platform, if you want a bigger impact, you will be spending. And even if you just want a full practice, those first couple of years, you're going to spend, if you're not spending 55% of your time marketing and 45% of your time with clients, then you're probably not marketing enough. Once a practice is full, then you can totally pull back and do less marketing. But until you get it there, that's really what it takes. All right, so who wants to, you're welcome, Diana. Who wants to get a little bit of coaching around like your book title, how you're putting your book together? Oh, by the way, let me tell you the last really, 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 really fun piece. So now, once people buy the book, let's see if I can do this. Now, once people buy the book, they get taken to this page. Now, when people buy the book, they get taken to this webinar page.
Welcome to the tribe, Women Rocking Business.
And I just cut that video in my office, sitting right where I'm sitting right now. And now what happens when they buy the book is they get taken to a page where they are signing up for my webinar, my masterclass, right? The number one mistake that keeps rooms empty for anybody that wants to lead events as a way to grow their business. And guess what? I know that masterclass converts at 3 to 5%, depending on how active I'm being in my communities in a given week. So we've welcomed over 50 new paying clients into our world in the last 2 weeks. And now all of the tens of thousands of dollars that we've spent on the book launch is starting to come back to us in the form of clients who are investing $1,000 each to study with us for 3 months. So that is the last part of the funnel, okay? It goes from lead magnet, dream business guidebook, to now your next step is to buy the book. Oh, woohoo, you bought the book. Next step is thanks for buying the book. Hop on my masterclass. And then on that masterclass is where I have that opportunity to make the $1,000 sale. The other thing that you could do is you could, on that masterclass, put a masterclass together that offers a discovery session. And you can sell people straight from that masterclass into a discovery session. And on that discovery session, you guys can pick up another 3 or 6 or 10 high-paying clients. Okay, so that's the way. That's kind of the way the funnel looks. And I just want to get you that information because, you know, some of you are going to be putting online funnels together, and some of you already have. Many of you already have put online funnels together that are similar to this. You don't need a book to start playing the online game. But if you're just starting out in your business, I don't recommend you guys start playing the online game until you've worked with a good handful of clients. Because can you guys relate to this? I mean, any funnel that you put together online, and now you're going to commit to putting hundreds or thousands of dollars of Facebook traffic through those funnels, right? You want to know that it converts. You want to be able to really have a sense that you've packaged something up that people will pay for. So a lot of people try to build their business in the wrong order. And one of the reasons I really believe that you start with actual human live clients, whether you put clients in a small group or whether you start working with people individually, is your marketing materials and your funnels are going to be so much stronger. All right. Who wants support with what you're launching in the near future? It's a great opportunity. Yeah, Daniela, what you got?
The title of my book right now, I'm curious about getting support around. I'm not sure. It might be a little long, and I'd love your feedback on it. Right now, the title of my book is The Book About Love, A Manifesto of the Heart.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay.
The cool thing about a book title is a book title doesn't have to be as niche specific.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
You know what I mean? Like, my title is Women Rocking Business, the ultimate step-by-step guidebook to create a thriving life doing work you love. It doesn't say anything about what type of business. It doesn't say any specific results. But this was a really strong book title in the literary world. So I like your title. I think it could totally fly.
Okay.
I wouldn't use that title as like a signature talk title.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, and I like the idea of you starting to actually drip pieces of the book out now as you're building your platform.
Yeah, I've been dripping pieces of it out in my monthly newsletters. And I'm wondering about the whole blog idea. Should I somehow link what I'm dripping out in my monthly newsletters into my blog on my website too? Or should I make those separate? Because I'm thinking I want my newsletter readers to feel like they're getting something that it's not being offered anywhere else because they're on my list.
No, get them on your website.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, get them on your website.
Okay.
Your newsletter subscribers aren't going to feel like they're not paying anything. So, you know, the time when you want to make sure that you're like keeping something exclusive is as soon as people pay you something. The benefit to having it on your blog is that people can then comment, and as soon as people leave a comment, they're now invested at a greater level. They're interacting with you.
Okay.
So if you go through some of my blog articles and my vlog articles,
yeah,
there's really, even though there might only be 20 comments, those 20 people are people that are not my current clients, most of them. A few of them are, but they actually took the time to like interact with a piece of information on my website, right? So the whole thing about marketing, you guys, is connection equals currency, right? Like it's relationships that bring about people investing. So anytime you can invite people to take one step closer to you by posting a comment or interacting, that's going to be one step closer to them considering becoming your client. And when I was first hustling for clients, I was like on my, I would be on my blog comments like every couple of days responding to people, and then sometimes having my assistant ping those people on Facebook, like, hey, Emily, I saw you left a really great comment on Sage's, thing. Would you want to take me up on a free business consultation? We opened up spots this month, and I would get clients that way. So, that's also going to get your website higher up in rankings because.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just because of the interaction. Okay. So right now I'm like literally writing what I'm writing inside the newsletter, but instead what I should probably do is just put a link inside the newsletter that says, go read more here on my website kind of deal.
So you put your first couple paragraphs and like, sense, and
okay.
then click here to read the rest of the article.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, of course. And then I'm curious, like, what makes your book different from other love books?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I could articulate that very well right now. I'm still figuring out, I feel like it is, of course, but how to articulate that is the tricky part. Right now, the skeleton of the book, which is going to be changing a lot based on what I'm hearing today, but the skeleton of it right now is each chapter goes into a different aspect of life. So relationships or connection to self, like the first chapter is all about connection to self and self-love, the basis of everything. But then another chapter could be work life. Another chapter could be relationships. Another chapter could be, so I'm looking at different facets of life and how the heart could play a role in those different facets of life, and how people could bring like the wisdom of the heart and the consciousness of the heart into those areas to transform them.
Yeah. Tell me the subtitle again. So it's The Book of Love.
The Book About Love, a Manifesto of the Heart.
Yeah. So I think this heart piece is going to be what potentially starts to set you apart. You're building one of these, you have the possibility of building one of these less specific platforms, more like a Danielle Laporte type of platform.
Yeah.
Right? Where, she spent a lot of months and years getting her message out to the point where now she's Danielle Laporte and she's got this whole thing called the Desire Map.
Right.
And you're like, you might have this thing called the Heart Manifesto, and to really then consistently be letting people know, guess what? The heart is a living, breathing organ in your body. The heart has an intelligence that's, in some ways smarter than the brain. The heart, there's all this amazing research behind the heart. Heart Math Institute is very science-based.
For sure.
Heart Math Institute is growing quickly in its visibility and how many people want to know. And you wouldn't have to be that science-based. You could be like a translator of a lot of that wisdom and a thought leader around the area of heart intelligence,
right?
Heart wisdom, bringing heart wisdom into every aspect of your life as a way to heal, as a way to succeed, as a way to transform, as a way to expand. And so then I would just start to really, like when Danielle Laporte first started coming out with her, before she was known, it was all about like the desire map. What's your desire, 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 desire? Just like Janet Atwood was all about passion, and it's very consistent. They're very consistently linking everything they're talking about back to passion or back to desire. Like for you, it's like linking everything back to the wisdom of the heart.
Right.
When you're building a less niched platform, it's not as niched as some of our other platforms that
right.
When you're building that kind of a platform, you have to be even more consistent and even more branded in the way you're putting stuff out into the world. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And you're a great person for this because you're willing to get on camera and you're willing to be the face of it. The times I see businesses that are in a more general category or more metaphysically niched, the times I see them not succeeding is when people aren't willing to really get visibly behind those brands.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's a willingness to get visibly behind that brand for quite a few months, potentially for 1 to 2 years to really get that momentum going. And I think you totally have what it takes. And it's a choice that we make. It's a choice that we make to understand strategically, like, what's the strategy behind getting my message out, right? And to not get caught in that thing of taking it personally, or why hasn't somebody discovered me yet? Or like, just like to be a good steward of this gift that you're bringing, right?
Right.
Yeah. Cool. It's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, we have time for one or two more. Who else wants to throw an idea out there? Mare, are you putting your hand up?
Yeah, I am.
What you got?
Are you getting feedback right now?
A little bit, but I can still understand you.
Maybe I can hear you on my computer. Actually, I can hear you on my phone and see you on my computer.
Where'd she go? She probably went to get a headset or something. Yeah, when you guys are thinking about book titles and like the big message behind your book, the one thing I'll just say about that is just keep in mind that your book can cast a wider net than the rest of your business. I have case studies of I had to go out of my way to get case studies of like restaurant owners and realtors and, different types of businesses that could be represented in this book, because I knew that I wanted the book to be, like Daniela said, a little bit of a manifesto for women business owners, regardless of what type of business that they wanted to start. The book is definitely super oriented toward women who have a message, to bring, but I wanted the book to cast a wide enough net that it could stand in the literary world. So for those of you that are niching down with your businesses, it can be really advantageous to open your niche up a little bit when it comes to your book. And I think that's really what a lot of us are craving anyway, right? Like, we're building these businesses, but one of the reasons why we build the businesses is to bring a bigger message to the world. I mean, Susan Pierce Thompson always jokes. She's like, I started this crazy multi-million-dollar company just so that I could write a book. She's like, really what I wanted to do was write a book and actually have thousands of people read the book. And in order to do that, I had to spend 3.5 years, launching this big company, this big training company. And so I know some of you have been sitting on your message for a while and you're still harboring this message inside of you, and you're kind of going through the steps to build the business around the message. And the more you can enjoy the relationships you make and the sort of process that you go through as you do that, the better, obviously. Mary, you want to try now?
Yeah.
Okay. How come you keep going away?
No, I'm not. Okay. I had to go back in the other room, so we don't do that. So I want to go.
All right. Does anybody else want coaching? And then Mary, I'll come right back to you, because I definitely have time for 2 more, but I want to make sure we keep moving. Who else has an idea they want to throw out there? You guys are being quiet today. How come you're being so quiet? Melissa, what about you? Mare, we're going to come right back to you once you're settled. What do you got, Melissa?
Okay, so I'm just writing this this manifesto. My email list isn't that big. It's like 200 people tops. I haven't been in contact with my community for a long time, and part of the reason I'm coming back, and the ebook is called Be Your Cause, which is about gaining unlimited self-confidence so that you can really rock your business and impact the world. And I'm writing about it from my own personal experience of wanting to check out and, in terms of overcoming fear and other challenges like that. So, but my question is that I also have a program that I'm looking for 4 or 5 women to join. It's called Wholehearted Branding. And it's about how to start your business online. So it's in terms of like just putting out the ebook versus putting out the program, putting out good content, which I'm loading up all over the place these days. It's like, when is a good time to launch that program?
The Wholehearted Branding program?
Yeah.
Well, I think the time to launch your client programs is yesterday for all of us, you know. The more we can actually work with clients and the more we can actually have that, those street smarts and that street credibility up underneath our belts, you know, the more we're going to be able to get on camera. And you know, I mean, think about it, you guys, even when you have 2 clients or 4 clients and then you get on camera on Facebook and you're talking about what you do, how much more confident can you be when you actually have a client story to tell? You know, so the sooner you guys can be working with clients, the better.
I have 2.
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, I say launch the course. And as you're, I mean, this is like the thing that you do the first, you know, 1 to 3 years that you're in business. You're consistently straddling taking care of your clients that you have as soon as you start having clients, and then having time to work on the business rather than in the business. It's one of the reasons why I really advocate for the Freedom Schedule and the 12-day-a-month formula, because that leaves you, at the very least, that leaves you every Friday to start thinking about bigger picture of where you want to take your business. It leaves you a week, a month to be in that dream mode. And then I also have like Monday afternoons and Thursday afternoons to work on my business rather than in my business, right? I'm not seeing clients during those times. So, you're consistently going to be kind of straddling, getting this bigger message out there around being your cause, and then the clients that are actually willing to pay you for the branding. And that's what clients are wanting. They're wanting marketing, you know, they're wanting marketing strategy, they're wanting branding. So I think you're really wise, and I think you have a really good example of a business that's going to then be set up to pay you because people need help with marketing, they need help with branding. And then you've got this bigger, more thought leader message, which is all about being your cause, which is a trickier thing to get people to pay you for, right?
Exactly.
The one thing that I would suggest in terms of you connecting the dots for people, like my thought leader message, like women need to be equal earners, we're still getting paid 80 cents on the dollar, you know, women need to value themselves more, like that thought leader message is like the blessing of mine is that it's very closely connected to the services I offer. Does that make sense, you guys? Like,
yeah,
we need to get women making equal money. Oh, by the way, I can teach you how to do that. Now, for you, Melissa, there's potentially a little bit of a gap. And, you know, those of you that are my clients, you hear me say this all the time. The best marketing in the world is marketing that actually connects all the dots for your customers or potential customers. You want to be really careful to connect those dots. So a message like being your cause, let me help you get more self-confidence so that you can bring your message to the world. And then, oh, hire me for branding. There's a few dots in between those two, right? So you just want to be a little bit discerning about what you're leading with, especially if you're in a position where you need money coming in the door, you need income, you need to grow a financially sustainable business so that you have the financially sustainable business to launch this broader thought leader message from, right? And then when you do talk about being your cause and growing the confidence to do that, you may have a chapter on branding, conscious branding. You may have a chapter on authentic marketing so that those two messages aren't completely, right? So that people start to be walked down the path of you connecting the dots for them and seeing you as an expert, not just in the mindset game, but in the branding part of business. Does that help?
Oh God, I love that. I'm so in love with what you just said. I just think that's really helpful. And the conscious branding is really exactly where I'm at. So that makes a lot of sense.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So for you to do, do Facebook Lives, get on Facebook, take the steps to really get out there and assess people's branding, and they don't even have to be your clients. You can pull up some of the best websites, you can pull up some of your favorite thought leader websites and be like, hey, here's what a lot of people aren't talking about in terms of what's actually working with this website and why is this working or why is it not working, and to teach the thing that you're really wanting to be able to support clients with, and then let them know that there's more where that came from and invite them into your discovery sessions. Yeah.
That's really great. That's really great. Sage, can I just, I'm sorry, I just have to tell you this, but the reason I'm here right now is because I saw you do your Women to Prosperity interviews back in, when was that? 2000.
Yeah, the Women on Purpose Telesummit.
I've been working on these. I'm in Connecticut right now, and I used to live in New York City, and I was really at a struggle at that point. I was like, what do I do with the rest of my life? I was a TV producer and I quit. I just stumbled on your interviews, and then I heard, like, you talk about spirituality and business and entrepreneurship, and I was like, mind blown. Like, I had no idea, on the West Coast, I hadn't spent much time out there, and I was like, that's brilliant, and so that's why I'm sitting here now, is because I heard you, 4 years ago.
Oh, that's so cool. That is so cool. I'm so glad you told me that. Yeah, I mean, this is an example, right, of like, we just keep getting out there for months and then years, and then, the right people. We had a bunch of people on our last Facebook challenge that had also been on that very first Women on Purpose Telesummit. So
it was huge.
Melissa, thank you so much for telling me that. What a cool thing to have you come back around. And Mare, can we hear you now? Can we hear you? I can't hear you, sweetheart. I'm going to have to pick you up on the... Can I hear you now? Okay, I'm going to have to pick you up on the Leverage Facebook page. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to let you guys know about before we go is that there is... our 3-month program is launching in October. So if you haven't ever done Events to Change Lives, we have about 1,000 women that have graduated from the Events That Change Lives content and curriculum. And instead of a 6-week course, this is the first time we're rolling it out as a 3-month long training. It's usually over in 6 weeks. For those of you that jump in October, you'll be with us for 3 whole months, all the way through the end of the year. And that's our sort of patented, trademarked process to help you put together a story that sells, because content tells, but stories are what sell. And it helps you craft an offer that you can use when you're on a webinar, when you're on stage. You really dial in your offer in a fairly specific way so that you know what to do when you get in front of people. We help you put together all the content for your live events so that you can lead 2-hour events or 1-day events or 3-day events that are designed to help you pull in your potential clients and your paying customers. So for those of you that would like more information about that, I'll throw the URL up in the chat thread, or maybe Jen Sebastian can, but you can get signed up for the masterclass where you can find out more about that course. And you can also, Jen Sebastian, if you could throw that up in the chat thread, that'd be great. And if you want to chat with one of our coaches around that, I know our coaches have a few spots left in their schedules. I checked in with them yesterday. So if you want to get on the phone with one of our Women Rocking Business representatives and just let them know where it is that you are at in your business and what you're looking for next, they can help you decide whether that course or whether maybe one of our other programs might be a fit to help you get to the next level. For every single one of our year-long clients, our entrepreneurial leaders and our leverage goddesses that are here, I want to thank you for being behind the book launch. Thank you for supporting the book in this way of pre-ordering the book and helping get the book out there. I know several of you are going to be getting 3 books delivered to your doorstep, and I can't tell you how happy that makes me just to know that you can give those books away to a friend and celebrate the book alongside me. I seriously would not be able to do it without you. It's a labor of love, and I know that you know what I mean when I say I definitely need my tribe around me. In fact, one of my colleagues told me, so here's what I did during my book launch. I brought in a trainer to train all of my, current programs so that I could just spend 2 whole months just focusing on the book launch. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I need to be with my clients. Are you kidding me? Like, that's the place that I get to actually interact and find out that people are having results and support people that aren't believing in themselves and have a deeper relationship. So I'm just very grateful that that you all have chosen to walk this path alongside us. And I'm here to remind you that the tools really do work. So get your next speaking engagement on the calendar, get your articles out there, get your videos out there on Facebook. It takes a tremendous amount of courage, and anytime you need extra, you're welcome to borrow some from me. I seem to have a lot these days. Yeah, keep going. It's totally worth it. It is absolutely 100,000% worth it. When the moments get rough, just keep leaning into the tribe that's gathered here, because there's a lot of women here that get it, that understand that it's not always easy, but that your clients really are waiting for you. And the only way that you guys could not have this happen for you is if you get, like, seriously give up. The only way to fail is to stop. I've seen it time and time again. For those of you that are willing to keep going, you will have success. One small success at a time. So thank you for being here. I'm going to unmute you so you can say goodbye. We'll be in touch with reminders about conferences, and I'll be on Facebook continuing to share. And we're going to be live also on Facebook tomorrow night, live from San Francisco for the book party. So if you want information about that, you can just go to the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood Facebook page. And yeah, love you guys. I'm going to unmute you guys. You can say goodbye.
Yay! Bye. Love you. Blessings. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for
See you
doing
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, you guys. You're amazing. Keep going.
Hi, Robin.
One right at the moment.